Hey, what's going on, guys? This took a lot of willpower to make this video here. And you'll understand why at the end. This required a lot of willpower. Remember when I didn't review Christine? Because I didn't think she was very good and worth reviewing? Well, imagine having to do that, but with 4 slides and having to actually make them, because I need to make this review for you guys, so that you'll know in the future. So, let's talk about Final Fantasy 1 Rain, obviously modeled after Warrior of Light. And both of their STMRs are literal power creep over, and not completely over Sora, because his also has attack percentage, but 100% low burst damage, really? And 200% LB Flurry, that's like insane STMR, like that's insane. Yes, that's only for attackers only, the attacker tag, or roll. I guess I should start putting in, instead of tag, roll, attacker roll. So these rolls are going to start meaning a whole lot more in the near future, guys. If you have not watched any of my JP reviews in a long time, or you're just coming in now, the JP site Alim has finally been taking rolls more seriously and tagging certain things as only certain units can use those things. So this is really insane. Like Tyvus would love this. Tyvus would love this. He would keep this to his grave pretty much, because he struggles on building a lot of certain things like little burst damage and stuff like that sometimes. So he would love this as an option, that's for sure. Anyways, in the base form, yes, he is a Brave Shift unit. In his base form, he has Fire and Earth, Brave Shift, Bolting Shark Chaining. He has 85% full break fine, 300% little burst, or 300% TDH, 5% cap, 150% little burst damage. And most of the stuff that I'm listing here are in both forms, by the way, but there was no room to do that, so he has some killers, 300% full stat buff, 60 LB fill, and also 45% general mitigation for himself at the start, and after he brave shifts, and on top of that when he is revived. So no EX level needed for that, which is quite good actually. One of the only good things about him, I would say, so far. The LB has 21 hits. Don't know who that changed with right now, but maybe I'll figure that out. 130% Fire and Peril, 150 times mod, 50 times mod for himself, for self LB mod, so for both sides of course. In the Brave Shift form, 200% LB damage, so you can already tell where the actual damage is going to be coming from. He has a 50 times mod buff for his LB on a normal ability, and it stacks with his base LB in his base form because it's from different sources, so he would actually get 100 times mod buff for his Brave Shift Little Burst, which is 130% Fire and Peril, 150% Beast Killer for himself, and 200 times mod, 220 times mod for versus Beast, and it's a 7 hit with 1 hit delayed, or backloaded, or whatever you want to call it. So actually, theoretically, it's 330 times mod versus Beasts, and 300 times mod for the just general, and that's pretty standard. A lot of units usually have 300 times mod, so okay, it's fine, I guess. It's okay, but there's a lot of things we got to talk about in terms of. Okay, his EX2 cooldown. He literally has an EX2 cooldown, and it's the exact same as the cooldown in Neovision Rain's base form cooldown. Remember the Beast Killer and the Little Burst damage buff that was kind of okay in the beginning in the Neovision era? He has this as an EX2 locked cooldown. I can't make this up. This is terrible, and this is gonna drop his rating down a whole lot, because why does that exist? Why is that even a thing? Just lazy, super lazy copy and paste. Super lazy copy and paste. Like, this is terrible copy and paste. Really terrible. No infinite turns to take advantage of his base LB, helping out his Brave Shift LB, so you can't swap between and get that going. And one of the most egregious things I've ever seen, he has a 1000% normal attack buff each turn, so he gets it every single turn. But guess what? There's a big catch to that, and he has no normal attack ability whatsoever, like no normal attack upgrade at all, none. So it's literally worthless in comparison to what you would normally do as a finisher or any other thing like that. So absolutely worthless, and he is getting a way lower score than I've ever given a lot of units. And keep in mind, My scores have changed, and I'm gonna keep saying this for a few more videos probably until you guys catch on. My scores have changed. There is no more 7 as the baseline score anymore. It's at 0, and this guy is getting a 5. Very bad. He has no future in anything really. Like his hit counts are really strange. I don't know who he changed with right now. 21 hits. It's kind of unreasonable, really. I would say, because usually it's like 27 or 24 sometimes, but 21, and then the other one is 7.1. I'm assuming that one's more like a finisher, but 5 out of 10. Really not very useful for anything. Not useful for Dark Visions. Really not going to be very useful for Clash of Wills in the future. I just don't see how this would be really. I don't see how he would even be useful at all. He's just a standard chainer slash maybe finisher with the only perk that he wouldn't be useful for at all is the thing that he gets at the start of battle and when he brave shifts and stuff like that. The LB fill. That's literally the only good thing about him that I see. So 5 out of 10. Just blah. Okay, on to Final Fantasy IV Lasswell. The STMR is literally the same, but except it's for magic attackers only. So very, very insanely and very insanely good. Very, very good. I would love to have that as well. Same thing could be said again where it does not have any stats on it, so Zoma's STMR is not completely power corrupt, but at the same time if you're able to cap without needing it, then this STMR is much better, theoretically. So he has infinite turns, surprisingly. I know Lasswell usually doesn't get the better on Rain on anything, but he'll get this at least. In the base form, he has 2, actually both forms have this, actually. 2 85 times mod buff cooldowns, but both of them have imbues, so you can't use them both unless you use Rage Beast Roar. Although I think that there's a problem with, I think there was some talks about this being dispelled, possibly dispelled, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to use them both, I'm not sure. 150% demon, 30% insect killer, which was surprising to me. 150% beast killer and dragon killer, 150% as well. 30% low burst damage. And keep in mind the passives are pretty much the same on both forms, but I'm just keeping it simple. 250% TDH, 500% cap, fine. The LB is 20 hits. It's not the same as the other Lasswell, so you won't be able to chain them together, sadly. It's 20 hits. So once again, I really don't know who that's chaining with. It's 125% ice and peril, 150 times mod. Like, what are they? Why are they so weird hit counts? They're really not giving them, you know, much future with these weird hit counts. They're not giving them, you know, room to breathe with. And the brave shift form is the same thing, same mod boost CDs, and same passive except their magic asterisk base instead. And the brave shift form is 1 hit instead of 20 hits, and it's the same modifier of 150 times mod and 1 hit, like I mentioned, but it's magic asterisk based, which will be a lot better in the near future because the magic variance is going to be changed. Theoretically, actually, it might be a much higher modifier with the 85 times mod buff, but still, whatever. And he's just basically New Vision Lasswell. Just pretty much direct copy and paste except different hit counts. His Brave Shift Olympus is not 2 hits, it's only 1 hit. And the base form is 20 hits instead of 24. He even has the same Grandest ability. He literally has the same Grandest ability as the regular New Vision Lasswell, so he's a bit better because of infinite turns and possibly magic variants being very powerful. I'll go 6. I'll go 6 out of 10 for him because at least he could be a finisher and potentially being a very strong finisher if you can get those things going and stuff like that. So, I mean, he has some future in Dark Visions, really not so much in Clash of Wills, I don't think. So, he's probably decent, but they're both of them, in my opinion, are just STMR fodder, in my opinion. So, just, it really is. I couldn't stop laughing when we were looking at the unit kits. They're just. Okay, on to Kimono Dark Fina. Her STMR is two-handed whip, 238 magic, and the passive is 200% magic TDH and 100% Fairy and Beast Killer, which was very good. That's stacked. That's a pretty stacked STMR. We don't really get those kind of STMRs lately, so I'll take it. Fire, Wind, Earth, and Dark resist 100%, and also comes with a buff, but it's not really that mentionable. So that's decent for Clash of Wills for sure. If you guys know the recent Clash of Wills, you need a lot of elemental resistances, so maybe in the future those resistances might be useful for something. So that's why I mentioned it. 125% human and fairy killer for all allies, and also 60 LB fill for herself. She also gives some modifier buffs for certain spells, but it's not really that relevant, I don't think. For all allies, of course, but it's really just like, maybe I can look into it more, and maybe it would be useful for someone, but I didn't really look into that too much. But basically, this cooldown is a different version of the new Fina, with 125% and 2 killers. So basically the same thing. And Asura Summon is a dark amp, so dark summon, just like a Yuna can do pretty much. But yeah, 30% dark amp, pretty good. This is a pretty decent thing, I thought, for a quick strats, like quick dark vision strats or something. You got 250% stat buff and 200% little burst damage, which was decent for all allies at the start of battle. So that could help out a little bit on the first turn shenanigans. 30% dark amp, but for all allies on a normal attack plus some healing, so decent. She has some killers, but really isn't really relevant that much. She has dark imbue for all allies and also 35% dark amp on some black magic, so you'd have to enhance that. She has some bolting strike and also chaos wave awaken, earth and dark chaining, fine. Her base LB, neither of them do any damage, by the way. Her base LB is 25% whip and peril, 350% full stat buff, 250% unlimited damage buff, and a 45% dark amp. I wish it was 50 on the SLB, but it's not, sadly. 30% whip and peril, 400% stat buff, and 30% unlimited damage with 45% dark amp. That's pretty good. That is pretty good though. That is quite good. We've been looking forward to a dark amp finally, and it finally exists. I would say it's pretty good. The whip and peril, kind of whatever. We'll be talking about that. We're definitely gonna be talking about that, guys. And now onto some cons. Whips are pretty much relevant other than Corral. So this unit, getting Dark Fina would be really cool to have, and I could test out Corral maybe, but that would be like literally the only thing that would be interesting about it, pretty much in my opinion so far, because he's a Dark Whip user, and what a coincidence, right? And she really needs her STMR because she only has 100% magic TGH, which apparently you need to enhance to get that. So I do think that magic variance is going to be a big deal in the coming very soon. I want to make a video on that for sure. And she won't be dealing very much damage, so don't expect her to. So I'm gonna go ahead and give her 8 out of 10. She's very good. She'll definitely be useful for Clash of Wills. She'll definitely be useful for Dark Visions, because there are a lot of dark damage dealers. The whip thing, kind of a yikes, but if you ignore the whip and peril, which really isn't useful, except for Corral, like I mentioned, everything else is really good. I would say everything else is pretty good. Not really good, but pretty good. You can gear her for, Bahamut synergy, so she can summon Asura very quickly. And Asura, it's not really that bad of an Esper, really. I mean, you can equip it on her, and it won't take away from anyone else, because normally you're not really equipping Asura for anything. So it won't really take away from anything, which is a good thing as well. It's quite good. So 8 out of 10, the highest rated unit on the banner so far, but we still have one more in Asura Pilgrimage Rain. And his STMR is restricted to attackers only, and has 7,500 HP, 70 attack, 75% Beast Killer when equipped with a katana and a greatsword. That's pretty good. 50% TDH, I wish it was 100, but whatever. And 100% HP. The reason why they're focusing on so much HP on a lot of these units, I'm not sure, but maybe we'll find out in the near future. 250% low burst damage, 350% TDH, so with his STMR he had 400. Wow, what a coincidence. 500% cap, 200% beast and human, and also 150% demon and stone killer. Decent array. I guess I dropped off on doing those 100% all killers thing. I like that a lot. Too bad. The LB is a dark 27 hits, 125% Dark Imperil, 300% attack buff, and also 200% limitless damage for himself, and 200 times mod, with a 30 times mod for himself on the next LB usage for a few turns. And his also LB Dark, 16/1 hits, and 135% Dark Imperil, 300 times mod, 360 times mod versus beasts. So that's it. His normal abilities really aren't worth mentioning, so I didn't mention them. No weapon imperils. Kit beside, like I mentioned, his kit besides the LB is lackluster. Even has the same cooldown. This one's not restricted, but still, it's just something to mention. He even has the same Evasion Rain cooldown with the Beast Killer and the 100% low first damage buff. Like, come on, that's super copy and paste. And I think so far, as of this video, there's probably gonna be, you know, more in the future. I didn't think of any other ones, but so far, all I can think of is his only partner is Dark Axstar, the second Emperor, which it's fine because he's also a dark damage dealer and a breaker and everything. So it would kind of work out. You could use Axstar and you could use Rain, and you could have Axstar as the breaker and him have Rain as the DPS. Well, they're both DPS, but you know what I mean. Like they fulfill a role compression type of thing because they both can chain together. So I could see that would be interesting at least. So with that being in mind, I'll give him a 7.5 just because there is some potential in combos with Axstar, the second Emperor. So that would be useful in Clash Worlds for sure, and also in Dark Visions for sure, because Axstar is pretty good, I would say. So we went through quite a journey. If you stayed till the end, thank you very much. This was very painful to make. This was very painful. It's like a joke. And I know I gave more positive reviews for the last two units, but the first two, no. So, thank you guys very much for watching. Appreciate you, and I hope to see you in the very next video. And also, by the way, none of them are CGs, of course. See you in the next one. Peace.